This is the signed number review, and we've been working on order of operations, and we are about to start working on the hardest order of operation problems we have. I always like to work some of the ugliest ones so that you are not surprised by how ugly they can look, and you're generally gonna have, not going to see anything worse than this, which is also sometimes nice to know. Here I have -5 inside parentheses squared times 9 minus 17, and then that answer squared, divided by -10 squared. First thing we need to do is to simplify inside the parentheses if we can. And we can't simplify here or here, but we can figure out 9 minus 17. I'm going to recopy what I have that I'm not able to work with yet. Okay? Now, 9 minus 17, that's the same thing as 9 plus -17. We have opposite signs, so we are subtracting absolute values. 17 minus 9 is 8. This is the 17 had the larger absolute value and was negative, so that's negative. So what goes in here? A -8. Don't lose your parentheses. Okay. Now, what we mentioned in the last part was that there was a difference between parentheses. Go ahead and use your calculators if you forget. But if you have a negative on the inside of parentheses, make sure you keep it in there and then square it, and you're going to get the positive answer. And remember, exponents are repeated multiplication. This is actually asking us to do -5 times -5, which gives us +25. Exponents were the next thing we had to take care of after we simplified our parentheses. So this multiplication, use a different color here. That's still there. Okay. This is asking us to do -8 times -8. If we use our -8 inside parentheses and square it, we get +64. Divided by, that's this symbol right here. It's just following us along. We haven't dealt with it yet. -10 inside parentheses squared is 100. So now we have only positive numbers involved, which is really kind of nice. Now order of operations, we don't have any parentheses left to simplify, no more exponents, so now it's multiplication and division from left to right. So I have a multiplication here, division here. I need to do this first. 25 times 64 is 1600 divided by 100, and you get the answer of 16, and that should be your answer. Okay, so let's look at some much more involved problems. All right, so this is a giant fraction looking thing that mixes everything together. It looks ugly. It's not really so bad, but you still have to be very careful with it. Okay, now when we first started talking, I said that the parentheses step is any kind of grouping symbol. And I mentioned that the fraction bar is considered a grouping symbol. Until the very end, it's going to be like we're working two problems. Simplify the top problem, simplify the bottom problem. And then once we've done the top problem and the bottom problem as much as we can, then we do the division that the fraction bar is telling us to do. Okay, so let's look at our top problem. Just ignore the bottom altogether. I need to simplify inside my parentheses where I can. Well, I can simplify inside here. 3 squared, that's something I can do. 9 minus 2, that's also something I can do. So let's just rewrite this top part. This is 3 times 3 squared. This means 3 times 3, which is 9. Minus 5 times, there's no symbol in here, so it's a multiplication. 9 minus 2 is 7. Okay, so that's the first step in simplifying the top problem. Now, the bottom problem. I have a set of parentheses here that I can simplify inside. 6 minus 3, that's the same as 6 minus 9, sorry. 6 plus negative 9. 8 times. 9 minus 6 is 3. The 9 was larger absolute value and negative, so it's negative here. Divided by negative 3. So that's the first step in simplifying the top and simplifying in the bottom. Okay, so now let's keep going with the top problem. I have no more exponents, the parentheses are simplified, so now I do the multiplications from left to right. Here's a multiplication, and here's another one. 3 times 9 is 27, minus 5 times 7 is 35, over. Okay, so that's the next step down in the top. In the bottom, I have a multiplication and I have a division, and I need to work from left to right. So 8 times negative 3. A positive times a negative is a negative. 8 times 3 is 24. Divided by a negative 3. Okay, now the only thing I have in the top is a subtraction. So that is 27 plus negative 35. Opposite signs, so we subtract. Negative 35 and 27, so 35 minus 27 is 8. The 35 is larger absolute value, and it was negative, so that's negative. Over. Negative 24 divided by negative 3. They have the same sign, so our answer is positive. 24 divided by 3 is 8. And finally, we have simplified the top and the bottom as much as possible. So now we can do that final division. Negative 8 divided by 8. They have opposite signs, so our answer is negative. 8 divided by 8 is 1. So your answer is 1. Negative 1. Sorry.